I'm looking at them and I'm saying to myself, come on now, this is utterly ridiculous.
There's a lot of liberals waking up. One of them right now is Stephen A. Smith. And here he is, ESPN Stephen A. Smith. And here he is. He's really on the fence on kind of which way he's going. He seems to be breaking, but talking about what's going on with the Democrats, Biden being compromised, that Kamala could be the follow-up, which is absolutely insane. But here we go.
I think that he has damn near a cult following. I'm not calling folks cultists or anything like that. I'm just speaking metaphorically about how these folks are in terms of their love, their devotion, their belief in him. And they're not going anywhere. And then you got Hispanics who are supporting him now, according to the polls. You've got more black folks who are supporting him now, according to the polls. And even though they're swearing that the overturning of Roe v. Wade, along with some of the charges that have been executed against him, that's going to turn off white women, well, we ain't seeing that evidence. And so I'm looking at it from that standpoint, and I'm like, well, wait a minute now. Are y'all not paying attention? Because let me tell you something. Charlemagne the God said it best when he said, Joe Biden is not inspiring at all. You almost get the impression that the Democrats who are pushing for Joe Biden to get 4 more years, because that's what they were chanting at the State of the Union address, 4 more years, 4 more years. The man's going to be 82 in November, and you chant for 4 more years. But you've got progressive leftists on this side chanting for 4 more years. I don't know if they know how embarrassing that is, okay? Okay, but that's neither here nor there. The point is that when you're doing that, I'm looking at them, and I'm saying to myself, come on now, this is utterly ridiculous. You think this is going to get it done. But I tell you what I'm starting to suspect. They don't know if Joe's going to last 4 more years. And all they care about is that he gets through Election Day and the inauguration. And then after that, who's the next in line? It's Kamala Harris.
Drew, let me start with you here, because it seems to me that he's catching what I think most people believe. Maybe they're not saying publicly, but nobody really thinks Joe Biden's running the ship. And there's really nobody that honestly believes that 4.5 years from now, he'd still be functional enough to be president. And yet they're pushing the guy. That's an awful lot of BS.
Well, I think people are saying it out loud. I hear it all the time. And it's not, you don't have to be a neurologist to understand that there's been a significant decline. Just watch videos of him on Inauguration Day or back during the election versus now. There's been a significant, and it's not that he's old per se. He's had a significant neurological decline, and that can happen as people age, either as part of aging or as part of a primary process, some neurodegenerative disorder. Now, the question then becomes, what are the limits of what we can tolerate in that office? And do you want somebody in there that may continue to deteriorate? It may not, too, by the way. He could be right here. He could stay right here. That's the way it goes sometimes. But even that, I would argue, is a significant issue. You know, it's interesting. I love Stephen A. Smith. I love that guy. I've loved him back. I was a fan of his way back before anybody else. And I used to do his late night radio show, and talking to him, he's so bright. It's like talking to a machine gun. He just comes at you with stuff. He's always thinking, and he brought something up here loosely, which has been troubling me, which is President Biden keeps appealing for money and for support because he needs to finish his job. And I've never heard him say, what is this? What does that look like? What is the job he's trying to do here? Completely destroy the country? What, have no borders? What is this job? What are we talking about? That to me gets it feels eerily uncomfortable when he talks about finishing the job.
Larry, what do you think finishing the job? What do you think Joe Biden means when he's saying finish the job? I'm not sure he knows which job he's talking about, but what do you think it means in his mind?
First, I'll make a comment about Stephen A. Stephen A. had drinks a few years ago with his best friend from Philadelphia, somebody I've known about 30 years, and he is Stephen A.'s best friend. And I can tell you, Stephen A. is nobody's brain dead liberal. I believe that Stephen A. thinks the way we think. You mentioned him being on the fence, Dave. He's on the fence about how far out he wants to go without running the risk of losing many of his followers, without running the risk of him being perceived as an Uncle Tom or a senator. I can tell you, he's commonsensical. He's been like that all the time. Now that he's become so successful, makes so much money, I think he feels more secure about venturing out and giving his opinion. But I'm not sure people like that deserve a cookie for saying the kinds of things you and I and Dr. Drew have been saying for years. It is clear that Joe Biden is declining. It is clear that Kamala Harris is on deck. It's clear they cannot drop kick her in favor of some white dude without taking off black females who love them from Kamala Harris. So when somebody like Bill Maher or Stephen A. Makes some sort of commonsensical observation, we always go, oh my God, even he feels that way. Again, I'm not quite sure they deserve a cookie for it, although I'm happy they finally arrived at what I consider to be commonsensical observations.